Hello and welcome to the Night Feed. I'm your host, Charlotte, here to bring you some comfort, camaraderie, and conversation to keep you company during, let's face it, one of the toughest parts of being a new parent, the Night Feed. Tonight's unpaid sponsor is getting 10,000 steps in at 3 a.m. Yes, we are still going through our teething phase at the moment, and poor baby boy the other night would not be put down, whether it was on me, off me. He had like an altimeter going on, so I was walking in the bedroom, finally got him to sleep. You know when they do that heavy breathing and you're like, yeah, we're good. Went to lie on the bed with him on my chest at this point, woke straight away. It was like an altimeter. So I thought, this isn't going to work. He's going to wake the girls, go downstairs. And you know what? I put on Nobody Wants This on Netflix and I had a little pace around the living room. I'm saying this now as if it was delightful. In the moment, I was like, I am so tired. And every time I went to sit on the sofa, I held my breath. You know, when you ease yourself down and your head just hits the pillow of the sofa and you're like, yeah, I've got this. He woke. So I literally think I did about 10,000 steps that night, which is good because I'm not really getting them in the day, so I may as well do them at night. But yeah, if you are going through teething or a sleep regression or anything like that, please know that you're not alone. It is a season that will pass. And sometimes I think the more you lean into it and give in, the better. Because I think if you panic that, oh my God, I've got no sleep, this is going to be terrible, the baby can almost sense it. Whereas if you lean into the fact that tonight you're not going to get much sleep and tomorrow you may have to function on very little sleep, which is difficult. But if you treat it like a one-off and think, right, I'll put a movie on or a show on and make myself a drink and just kind of lean into it and think, this is helping the baby so much. He just wants to be rocked and held. It kind of makes it a little bit better in the moment. So yeah, I feel you if you're going through this right now. It is a tough season. I think I'd forgotten about how difficult teething can be. It's horrible seeing your baby in pain and you'll do anything to rock them and keep them going. It's just a bit tough on the old back. I came across this post on Reddit and I thought, you know what? I have to share this with my audience because it would be a crime not to. And it's written by a 65-year-old who has had children, raised them in the 80s and 90s. And she's writing this to the young mothers who are so very tired. It's quite a long one, but I'm going to read it out because I think you need to hear it. So it says, I see you, dear mothers. You're bone tired. Your to-do list never ends, and you're wondering how everyone else seems to be doing it all when you can barely remember the last time you shaved your legs. I raised my children in the 80s and 90s, and though life was far from easy back then, I look at what you're carrying now and my heart aches for you. We didn't have the pressure you do. Somewhere along the way, the world decided that women should not only raise thriving children and keep the home running, but also excel at a full-time career. You need to stay in shape in your Lululemons, look put together, plan picture-perfect birthdays, manage social calendars, and post it all with a smile on Instagram. We didn't have social media telling us what a good mother looks like. We didn't have Pinterest-worthy school lunches or endless online advice that somehow manages to make you feel both inadequate and overwhelmed. And yet I see you doing it anyway. You're doing your best to build a life that's meaningful for your children and for yourself. But I also see how tired you are. I've read some of your posts and my heart breaks. I want to get on a plane, show up at your house like Mary Poppins and cook you a pot of spaghetti and rock your children to sleep. I want to share the burden with you. So from one mother to another, please hear this. You are enough. Even when the dishes sit in the sink, even when your hair is in a messy bun for the fourth day in a row, even when your dinner is cereal and milk, you are enough. Your children don't need a mother who does everything. They need a mother who loves them. They need a mother who laughs sometimes, who listens, who is gentle with herself so they learn to be gentle with themselves too. And I know another reason you're so weary. Most of you are doing this without help. Many of you live far away from families and friends, raising babies without the support systems we used to lean on. When my kids were little, our mothers were often nearby and eager to step in to rock the baby, fold the laundry, or bring over supper just because. I couldn't have done it without Mummy and Daddy's help. If we needed a break, there were always responsible 11-year-olds down the street who were thrilled to earn a few dollars helping with the kids in the afternoons. Now that kind of seems harder to find. Teenagers are glued to their phones, and even if you do find a sitter, it can cost as much as a nice dinner out. And I know, too, that some of your husbands aren't helping as much as you'd hope. Not because they don't care, but because they're under their own kind of pressure. They're told they need to be better, stronger, more successful, more involved, all while trying to keep their own heads above water. And I'll tell you something else that's changed, something that makes your job even harder. Today's experts tell you not to let your toddlers watch TV. No screens under 2, they say, maybe even 3. And I understand the concern. But oh, how I remember what a blessing those quiet moments were when I put on Sesame Street or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and I'd have 20 minutes to start supper, fold laundry, or simply sit and breathe. Both of my littles, 21 months apart, had little rocking chairs in front of the Panasonic TV. You all grew up with Big Bird and Kermit and Maya the Bee and the Little Mermaid, and you turned out just fine. Those shows weren't just screens, they were stories, songs, imagination, and gentle lessons about kindness and curiosity. I truly believe what's doing harm now isn't the occasional half hour of Sesame Street, but the endless isolating world of iPads and video game addictions that pull kids and adults away from real life and each other. So if you need a few minutes to yourself, and Little Bear or Miss Rachel gives you that, please don't feel guilty. You're human. You're not failing your children by needing a breather. You're showing them that rest is part of life too. If I could give one piece of advice, it would be this: lower the bar. The world won't fall apart if you let the house stay messy. The people who matter won't love you any less if you say no to more obligation. The world doesn't need a supermum. It needs mothers who are real, who rest, who laugh, who live. So tonight, if you're tired, and I know you are, let the laundry wait. Pour yourself a cup of tea or a glass of wine. Sit down. Take a breath. Look at your children. They're not judging your undone list. They're just happy that you're there. And someday, years from now, when you're 65 like me, you'll look back and realise you were doing so much better than you ever gave yourself credit for. You're raising Sorry, it's making me emotional. It's actually making me emotional because, do you know what? I think so many mums in our generation are under so much pressure, and I see it. I see it on social media. I see it in real life. I see this pressure that's put on us, and hearing it from somebody who's 65 and seeing it through their eyes is quite emotional, isn't it? Because the amount of videos I see on social media where it's like, oh, I'm trying my best, I'm really trying my best, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, and it's like, gosh, give yourself a break. And like she says, someday, years from now, when you're 65 like me, you'll look back and realise you were doing so much better than you ever... Sorry, I can't stop crying. I am so emotional. Than you ever gave yourself credit for. You're raising a generation, and that is enough. You are enough. With love, Grandma. And I just think that is so poignant and so important to hear. Raising babies is hard in this period. Postpartum is difficult, isn't it? And it's also the most magical, wonderful thing and such a blessing. And I hate that wonderful blessing gets taken away by all this pressure. You don't need to post the baby's birthday on Instagram. You don't need to make sure you've got that balloon arch looking absolutely perfect so that people will think you're supermum. Just time is wonderful. And I was speaking to my really good friend about this, how we can be guilty of, say, laying out activities on the table for our kids and then thinking, right, I've got half an hour now to whiz round the house and tidy this washing up and tidy these dishes up. But actually, all the kids want you to do is sit there with them and involve yourself and enjoy it. And I did this the other day. We got a Christmas crafts box from my mum, and my eldest was still at school, but my middle child, who's 3, is off in the afternoons. And I sat there with this box, and we were sat for at least an hour together. The baby napped for half of that. And then he napped again on me. And we made a snowman, we glued, we sticked, and there was dishes looking at me in the kitchen. There was a pile of laundry on the side. There was surfaces that had crumbs on. It was a mess, really. And I could have used that time to make that kitchen shine and make it spotless and put that laundry on. But I've got the loveliest memory of sitting with her at that table and making Christmas crafts. And I don't remember now that dishwasher hadn't been put on. The dishes have been cleaned 3 times since in the dishwasher. So I just saw that post and I thought, oh, everyone needs to hear that. Everyone needs to hear that. And it made me emotional just reading it out then, because I know the pressure that modern mums feel. I know that there are mums out there that don't have a network, a village, that are on their own most of the day. And if you're one of them, I want you to know that you aren't alone, and that, reaching out to people like mum friends, having a chat with a mum friend who gets it is wonderful therapy. That just goes, yeah, do you know what? I've left my kitchen upside down because I wanted to come out and have a brew with you. It's like, yeah, great, me too. Me too. So be kind to yourselves is the message there. Be kind to yourselves, lean into help, lean into your partner helping, your mum helping, and lean into those friends. And if you feel like you're not getting the support you need, speak up and get a bit more support, because it is a testing time. And it is a wonderful time, but it's testing as well. So, yeah, I just thought I'd share that. Sorry if I just got so emotional. I don't know where it is at the moment, whether it's hitting the 6-month mark, but my emotions are like crazy at the moment. I just feel like elated one minute and then I'm like all emotional the next. It's really, really weird, isn't it, what your hormones and your emotions can do to you? But you know what? We've got our babies. Life's good. We've got our little babies. I've got my little boy here in my arms. He's fast asleep, having his lovely contact nap, which again, I've mentioned on the podcast before. I think I'm leaning into these contact naps so much more. I'm taking that pressure off, and I am looking at a room now that has toys all over it. There's pyjamas from when the girls got dressed. There is a coffee cup next to me, empty. The floor needs hoovering. And I'm sat recording the podcast with my baby boy on my knee because this is what matters. A bit of mess doesn't matter. It's not going to change your day. It'll take me 10 minutes. And I'm just loving the contact naps. So don't put pressure to make yourself think, right, the baby's having a nap now. I've got everything to do. Just lean into the contact naps, because one day they'll be toddling around. They won't be napping. And you'll wish you were back having those snuggles. Okay, I'm going to jump onto the emails. And it's funny because my algorithms know that I am about to start weaning, and so seemingly do you. So I've had an email. Help, I'm weaning. Hi, Charlotte. I'm currently in the chaotic, messy, mildly terrifying world of weaning, and I'm hoping you can offer some wisdom before I completely lose the plot. My little one has just turned 8 months. And I had this idyllic Pinterest vision. Here we go. Look, the idyllic Pinterest vision. We're all not, no one's immune from this pressure that we're feeling from Pinterest and bloody TikTok. But anyway, my little one has just turned 8 months, and I had this idyllic Pinterest vision of her trying avocado and sweet potato with gentle smile while classical music played in the background. Reality, she launched the avocado, gagged so dramatically on a bit of banana I nearly called 999, and now refuses anything that isn't toast. Just toast. Always toast. I see people online talking about baby-led weaning like their babies calmly gnaw on broccoli trees, while mine acts like she's been handed a live grenade. I'm trying to remember food before 1 is just for fun, but honestly, the fun seems to be mostly on her end. Do you or any other mums that listen to the podcast have any advice on how to stay calm during the gagging? Because my soul leaves my body every time. What foods to start that won't end up on the ceiling? Whether it's okay that she seems to hate fruit but would happily inhale carbs. Love the podcast. It keeps me sane during these wild early months. Becky in York. Hi, Becky. Thanks for the email. I know what you mean about weaning. Again, stop looking at Instagram and Pinterest and TikTok. I find them useful for meal ideas when it comes to weaning. I follow someone, I think it's Facebook, called like Yummy Little Belly, I think it's called. And she posts great little easy weaning videos of like little things you can make for them. Really nice recipes that I haven't tried and I don't know if I will try. If I'm honest, when I wean the girls, I started with baby rice, which you can get from the supermarket. I don't know what it is. I think it is actually just ground rice, and you mix it with water, and it's like a paste almost. It tastes quite similar to milk for them, I think, is what's behind that. I started with either baby rice, banana, or avocado. So I'm literally on your page. I was having banana and avocado for my girls. And in the very, very early weeks of weaning, they seemed to just have a little taste. There was no launching or anything like that because they're not 8 months yet. Oh, they weren't 8 months in these early weeks. But I just used to give them a little bit and see how they got on. I wasn't like, you need to finish the plate. We need to have all this. Because like you say, food before 1 is for fun. So it's more getting their palate used to different tastes. I believe my baby boy is ready to start weaning. He's 5.5 months and he's showing real signs of like trying to reach for food when I'm eating it. And I was wondering if his night wakings were because he was hungry, but I've read that that's a myth, apparently. It's not really to do with hunger. It's just to do with like teething, different phases. So I am also about to wean, and I personally will be doing what I've always done, which is starting on a bit of baby rice and banana and avocado. They're generally the 3 that I go for. I am not a big fan of baby-led weaning, and I never really knew what it was and what it meant. I've not really looked into it too much. I've always just gone with, this is what we're having. And don't get me wrong, as they get older, I will present different foods for them. So they'll maybe have a bit of toast, some cut up grapes, a bit of banana, and they can have all of them at the same time, like you would as an adult in a meal. You'd have, a few different components of a meal. But I think giving them too much choice, in my opinion, makes them favour certain things. So if you give them strawberries and avocado, they're likely to go for the strawberries, in my opinion. They're going to go for what's sweet, aren't they? Same if you give them banana and avocado. The human palate tends to lean towards sweet. So, for instance, I would do baby rice, I would do avocado, then I would do mashed up broccoli another day. And I wouldn't give loads of choice. I would be like, right, we'll have an avocado. Let's see how this goes down. Then we'll have broccoli. Let's see how this goes down. And that made their palates quite what's the word, amenable. They would be happy to eat what we were eating, so that as they got older, if we're having bolognese, I mash up the bolognese and give them that. And I've always been kind of not strict, but this is what we're all eating as a family is my kind of method. And I've not forced foods on them. I would never do that. If they don't like something, they don't like something. I'd try again in a week or so. Maybe if they didn't like the broccoli by itself, I would mix it in with the baby rice and see if that helps. As they got older, a favourite was avocado and rice, so like actual rice. That's all, and they still have that now that they're 3 and 4. They'll have avocado rice. So for me, it's just about letting them try different things. I totally get you with the worry about choking. Obviously, that is every parent's worst nightmare. It is always in the back of my mind. Even now when they're eating, I still chop up spaghetti because it freaks me out, even though my girls are older now. You can't be too nervous because you pass that nervousness on to them. You know, we have to understand that they are built to cope with food, and as long as we don't, not watch them when they're eating or give them anything irresponsible, we can only do what we can do. Obviously starting with like mashed banana, mashed avocado, things that have such a sloppy consistency is best. And what else was I going to say? Obviously, another thing, I know it's everyone's worst nightmare, but make sure you watch the St. John's Ambulance video on what to do if baby does choke. I think, and I saw this in a post somewhere, that all parents should have to take a half-day course on first aid. I think how great that would be if we were all fully trained on what to do in an emergency situation with a baby. So educate yourself on what to do in that situation and just know fully, if this happens, this is what we have to do. And then maybe that will take a little bit of stress away from you because you're fully equipped with what to do for the best possible outcome in that situation. Don't be too hard on yourself with weaning. I think if you build up an anxiety around it, the baby will feel it. So I would try to be as relaxed and fun and calm as possible. If the avocado gets lobbed, the avocado gets lobbed, and just be like, okay, that didn't go down well, we'll clean it up. Baby's going to throw food. They're going to get messy. They don't know what this is. They've been having milk for 6 months, haven't they? So they're like, what on earth is this? I know when I try and give my baby Calpol, he's like, ugh. So be calm, embrace it. Don't put too much pressure on the situation and it will flow. And when baby gets hungrier, they'll eat more. And like I said, the main thing I think is don't put too much pressure on the situation. I actually spoke to a weaning expert, a feeding expert. Oh, it must have been about 6 months ago. If you can skip back in the episodes, what I'll do is I'll find it and I'll put it in the show notes because she had some brilliant insights on baby weaning and feeding and how babies and toddlers are amazing at regulating how hungry or full they are. Which I thought was really interesting, and that the more pressure we put around meal times, the more they'll kind of press against it. So yeah, be calm, embrace it, and don't put too much pressure on the situation is my advice. I hope that helps. Next email says, "Hi Charlotte, I'm writing in because I'm currently 6 months postpartum and deep in what I can only describe as the wardrobe crisis of motherhood. Before I had my baby, I had this idea that postpartum clothes would just be my normal clothes, but softer and looser and magically breastfeeding friendly. How wrong I was. At the moment, my wardrobe consists of one stretched out nursing bra that's seen things, a rotation of milk-stained pyjamas, a rotation of milk-stained t-shirts, and leggings that permanently smell faintly of Sudocrem. I would love to know if other mums feel this. Like you want to feel a tiny bit more you, but everything you put on either rides up, falls down, clings to the wrong places, or requires a degree in engineering to unclip one-handed whilst holding a hungry baby. Do you have any recommendations for actual comfortable but not hideous breastfeeding clothes? And is it normal that I now choose outfits solely based on can I get a boob out quickly? Love a mum who just wants a functional outfit that isn't pyjamas." Hello, thank you for your email. You are not alone. Absolutely, you are not alone. I was actually having a rant the other day with my friend about how I've got no clothes, and then I realised it's because I'm breastfeeding. All these little lovely knit dresses I have, or, nice little, I don't know, tops. You can't wear, can you really? Although do you know what? I did wear a knitted dress the other day, and my mum was over, and it's like a V-neck dress that goes down to my knees. And I suddenly realised I was like, I can't roll a whole dress up. So I just pulled the top down and stuck my boob out. And that was just in front of my mum. So, it's one of those. But yeah, it is tricky. You're not alone. Don't make yourself feel bad that you're not wearing glam clothes right now. I tend to wear leggings and a t-shirt and a nice jumper. And I just roll it up when I'm feeding. I don't have any fancy breastfeeding branded clothes that unclip here and unclip there. I prefer wearing a top, just a normal jumper or t-shirt, because I find when I'm out and about breastfeeding, it's more for me concealed in a way, because I think when you have a shirt on and you button it down, your whole boob's out, which is fine. There's no problem with that. But if you want to be a bit more discreet, if you're in a public place or you're out in a cafe somewhere, just rolling your jumper up and putting the baby on, there's no issue there. And not that there should be an issue there. I'm not saying it is wrong to get your boob out at all. I'm all for breastfeeding in public and making mums feel comfortable. All I'm saying is that's how I personally feel comfortable. So I don't get too bogged down with what functional clothes work. Like I said, I don't have any recommendations for breastfeeding friendly clothes per se. I just wear tops that I can roll up. I steer clear of dresses at the moment because, like you say, you can't roll a whole dress up. Don't worry about milk stains. It happens to us all. I actually thought I'd stop leaking the other day, because I think as you get further on in your breastfeeding, the letdown on the other boob stops as much. I don't know if you find this. So I stopped wearing breast pads. And then I was out and about feeding, and yep, there was a big, huge milk stain. So don't worry. Don't put pressure on yourself. I like looking nice. I do like looking nice. And I don't want to just resign myself to be like, oh, I'm postpartum, I'm just going to wear this trashy top and leggings all the time. I get what you're saying. It is nice to go out and look nice. What I would do is shop for yourself, go shopping, get yourself some nice new bits that are breastfeeding friendly. And that doesn't have to be special clothing. It could just be a nice roll neck jumper that you roll up, or a t-shirt that looks quite fancy that you can roll up and access your boob. Don't put too much pressure on it, and know that you're not alone in the situation at all. And I think you should be given grace, really. I think if you want to dress a certain way while you're breastfeeding because that's easier, then you do it. But yeah, I get you on the stretched out feeding bra. I get you on the milk stained tops. It's how it is, really. But I went to Primark the other day and I just bought myself a few nice bits, like nice tops, new leggings, bits and bobs that you also want to feel comfortable in. You are breastfeeding. You don't want to have these like super tight outfits on that are uncomfortable. There's plenty of kind of loose trousers now that are in style, and looser leggings, nice cardigans. There's plenty that you can go at. So just don't put pressure on it. And if you find some nice new tops that work, go for it. Get yourself some nice new bits and you'll feel better. You will feel better. So I hope that helps. Next tonight is what's trending. I came across this term called radical acceptance, and it was because it helped somebody else in a forum, and I just thought I'd share it. So the definition of radical acceptance is the practice of fully acknowledging and accepting reality as it is, including painful or uncomfortable situations without judgment. It's a core concept in dialectical behaviour therapy. I'm sorry if I've said that wrong. Dialectical behaviour therapy. If there's any psychologists listening to this, you'll be shouting at me, but it basically DBT it's called, and it involves recognizing what is outside your control and stopping the fight against it, which can help reduce suffering and prevent emotions from escalating. This acceptance doesn't mean you approve of the situation or that you give up on making changes, but rather that you accept the present reality as a necessity first, as a step towards wise action. And somebody referenced this in relation to having a new baby. And this is what they said in the forum, because somebody said, what's the biggest mind shift you've undertaken as a new parent that's helped? And this is what this person recommended. They said, radical acceptance. It's a philosophy which deeply impacted how I dealt with my firstborn being such a shit sleeper. I think I came across the phase on Reddit actually during one of my many, many late night scrolls when desperately trying to find other parents' tips and tricks to get a tired baby to sleep in their crib. Essentially, it means to simply accept completely and entirely the phase of life you're in. You are not going to enjoy it every day. You might be stressed about sleep or feeding or colic or something else. But if you radically accept that this is a phase, that this too shall pass, and that life will go on again, you will feel so much better. And I thought I'd share it because it reminded me of the other night when I came downstairs at 3 a.m. and I just put on a TV show because I radically accepted that that night wasn't going to get any better. The baby wasn't suddenly going to go, yeah, I'm going to sleep now, my teeth are feeling all right. And I lent into the fact that I was going to be up. So maybe try and enjoy it a bit. Make yourself a nice cup of tea, put a TV programme on, and that will mentally get me around soothing the baby and it will help me. So I just thought it's a great way of thinking about things if you are completely in the trenches, rather than fighting it and thinking, I need to get my baby to sleep in its cot. This baby has to go in the cot. Lean into the fact that the baby might not go in the cot and you might have to hold the baby a bit longer, or you might have to safely co-sleep with the baby, or things might not go in your plan or go to plan. But if you accept that this is a season and this too shall pass, then it can help you mentally. And it really helped me that night when I was like, I'm just going to go downstairs, because I felt all right. I then went to sleep when Jason took over. So I did have that. I did have that safety net at 5 or 6, whenever it was we swapped, and I had a sleep. So that did make me feel better. And if you haven't got that safety net, that can be very difficult. But in the moment, rather than fighting against something that you can't really change, it's worth kind of accepting it and making the most of the situation that you're in, I suppose. And it's really hard because sleep deprivation is next level, isn't it? Especially if you're not getting any sleep. You know, when the baby's going down for 3 or 4 hours at a time, at least we're getting chunks of sleep. But if you are in that phase, it's how you make the best of a very tough situation, even if it's planning a nice breakfast in the morning, planning a nice cup of coffee, accepting that the nights are going to be difficult. How do you navigate them? How do you make them better for yourself? So I just thought I'd share this as a mindset shift, that sometimes as mums we can fight against things and be like, well, their baby sleeps through and their baby sleeps in the cot, and oh gosh, what am I doing it wrong? Is it me? No, it's not you. Every baby's different. Every baby is different. My little boy at the moment only wants to be on me, really, to the point where I'm wearing the sling most days. And I didn't really have that as much with the girls, but I'm accepting it. I'm accepting the fact that he wants to be on me right now. And do you know what? Deep down, I absolutely love it. Yes, the house is a little bit more messy. Yes, I'm not getting as much done as I used to. But he'll soon be 10 and he won't be snuggling on my knee. So it's accepting the here and now, and accepting that the here and now is a season and it is a phase, and leaning into that the best way you can. Next tonight is my self-care tip, and tonight's is to start an audiobook, because I believe listening to something like that can help you with going to bed earlier. If you get into a book and you think, oh yeah, I can't wait to listen to that, I'll go to bed an hour earlier and listen to it, that can help. Because I've said many a time on this podcast, I am terrible at staying up too late. I love spending time with Jason of a night, but sometimes that time doesn't start till 9. Once the girls are down, once the kitchen's clean, once we're ready to sit down. And then 9 rolls into 10, which rolls into 11. And before you know it's midnight. And then you're like, hell's bells, I'm not going to sleep tonight. And I'm going to be up at 5. But we've started saying to each other, look, we've got to go to bed. We've got to change this. We've got to go to bed a bit earlier. So I've been listening to an audiobook. I put it on and I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to going up to bed now. I'm looking forward to listening to this for half an hour. Instead of scrolling on my bloody phone, I'm going to listen to an audiobook, close my eyes as I listen, and it'll get me feeling tired, feeling ready to sleep, even if it is 9. You know, we're not programmed to go to bed super early, but as new parents who are very tired, the best thing we can do is get an earlier night. So yeah, find yourself an audiobook. If anyone has any book suggestions, I might start a new segment with audiobook suggestions, normal book suggestions, podcast suggestions, anything that you're enjoying during the evening or the day. write me thenightfeedpodcast@gmail.com and I'll be sure to share them. Finally, to finish on a quote I wrote. It's 2:07 a.m. on the postnatal ward, Mama. You did it. You split the sky to meet me. I felt it. Every clench of your body, every roar you swallowed, every prayer that burst from your lips like a wild, untamed thing. You were a mountain, a hurricane, a bridge between you and me. When the pain turned you inside out, I heard you whisper my name like a spell. And I fought too, kicked through the dark to reach your light. Then, there I was, slippery and screaming. You saw me for the first time through the mistiness of your tears. Your hands shook when they pulled me to your chest. Do you remember? How the world stopped. How my cheek melted into your skin, still burning from the war you just won. You kept saying, I can't believe you're real. But I knew you. Your voice was the first sound I heard. Your heartbeat, my lullaby. Even though you were breaking, you were birthing, not just me, but the mother I'll always need. That scar, the tremble in your legs, the pain you endured fade away as you look at me, the tiny person you loved before you saw. Now I'm resting on your chest, my tiny snores against your collarbone. I'm here now, your baby, in my new yet familiar safe place. Thanks for listening tonight, as always. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If there's anything you'd like to ask or anything you'd like to share, anything you'd like to comment on, please let me know. I am determined to get our little community going online where we can kind of have face-to-face chats. I think it'd be really nice to have maybe a monthly meetup of listeners to the podcast so we can all share our tips, our stories, our hiccups, whatever we're going through, and know that we're all there together in these early days. So I wish you all a restful, relaxing night ahead. Good night.